Good evening, everybody. I would like to call Town of Cedar Lake, August 3rd, 2022, special public meeting and the Plan Commission work session to order. Please rise for the pledge of flag. Bob?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Ms. Nessbauer? Present. Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Kapora?
Present.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Salatas?
Present.
Ms. Abernathy? Present.
Okay, once we get through the special public meeting here, and it's adjourned, we're going to move right into the work session. New business, Douglas MacArthur Elementary School final plat, one-lot subdivision. Petitioner, Crown Point Community School Corp., 200 East North Street, Crown Point, Indiana. Vicinity of 12900 Fairbanks Street, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting final plat for a one-lot subdivision. Petitioner? Hi.
Hi, Dion with the Skillman Corporation. As you said, requesting final plat for one-lot subdivision, and been working with Don Oliphant and Chris Salatas on all the details to get to this point.
Okay. Don, do you have anything?
The plat's in order, and kind of our normal 3 fees that come out of the plats. The 3% inspection fee would be $8,518.70. The performance letter of credit would be established in the amount of $312,389.00, and then the $2,000 MS4 inspection fee. One other thing I want to get on the record, we've had some pretty significant complaints about construction debris being hauled around, like pretty far from the school, dumping out of trucks, dumping where you shouldn't be dumping.
Okay, so
You've been an eye on that.
Okay, that's the first I heard of it. I knew there was some dust control we had to work on,
Yeah.
which we tuned up Larson Davidson and McAllister on, but as far as,
Yeah.
if you can send me some more details on that
I
after
will.
this meeting, that'd be great.
Okay.
Was that brought up at the last meeting?
Yes, it was, 2 weeks ago.
That was one of them, and it happened again, is my understanding.
Right when it turned on to 133rd, right? Or Lakeshore, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, it's all set to go, huh?
Yep.
Building department? Nothing?
Nothing, we're good.
You're happy, huh? Commissioners, any discussions?
No, sir.
Nothing?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a
Looks like you're,
motion.
moving forward, that's for sure. I've driven past there a few times and going to town, so that's good.
Good.
Do we have an engineering letter on file checking off on everything?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Dated
That letter should be referenced in a motion if you would.
July 28th.
That wasn't attached to the agenda.
Yeah, that was a late.
It's in the thing.
It's in our
It's in the
electronic,
electronic.
not in the,
Here, let me show you how, no. I'm kidding.
You can go ahead and do that if you want, Rick.
You want me, it's in your thing,
I'll get it.
huh?
I'll
No,
get it. I'm
it's in
looking
your
at- I'm
thing.
looking at the paper that's in front of me.
I know, me too, but I found it over here.
Hence I asked.
Good question.
And all the numbers for, the monies is in your letter also dated July 28th.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this point.
I'd make a motion to approve, Douglas MacArthur Elementary School final plat, one-lot subdivision. And also make part of the record the July 28th letter that Don just mentioned that where it brought up the 3% as well as the, maintenance letter of credit amounts, or performance letter of credit amounts.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion made by John Foreman, second by Greg Parker. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepstower? Yes. Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes. Motion carries, 7-0.
Mr. President,
Yes.
with the act of the commission this evening, the final plat now can be processed. Final plat attachment to the PUD ordinance is required to complete that. I have those documents. So upon processing of the final plat, payment of the fees, et cetera, I can append that to the ordinance, obtain the signature pages from Attorney Zick for the school of what is to be approved, or what has been approved, but has had signature withheld, and we can be done with the PUD and project approvals. We're that close.
Okay, sounds good. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Number 2, Larson Danielson People's Bank Performance Letter of Credit. That's all I know.
It is in order. We completed our final inspections earlier this week, so we recommend acceptance of the public improvements and rollover into maintenance letter of credit for 3 years in the amount of $2,732.10. It's reflected on our August 2nd letter, which is in your package.
Any questions? Anybody? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Let's refer to that letter of August 2nd from Don, specifying the dollar amount and what have you.
Make a motion to accept the performance letter of credit for Larson Daniels People's Bank based on a letter from Don Oliphant, August 2nd, 2022, with a maintenance letter of credit for $2,732.10.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Rick Sharp, second by Bob Carnahan.
Mr. President,
Yes.
could you ask the maker of the motion to slightly amend the motion to require the attachment of the C-bill letter to the letter of credit? So it's-
And attaching the C-bill letter to the letter of credit also.
Concur.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Stepstower? Yes. Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes, motion carries. Is there any public comment? No public comment? All right, special public meeting is adjourned. Now we'll move right into new business. Number 1, Oak Brook PUD plan amendment. Owner of Cedar Lake Residential Inc., 8900 Wicker Avenue, St. John. Vicinity of 10918 West 129th Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting an amendment to the existing PUD plan to allow the substitution of development entity from Cedar Lake Residential LLC to Cedar Lake Residential Inc. Hi, Jack.
Good evening, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing Cedar Lake Residential. So this first item is just a little bit of a housekeeping issue. Our in-house counsel, Kevin Hunt, I believe, communicated with Mr. Austin and Mr. Salatis about this. We, as a bit of history, some of you may recall, but when the PUD was approved 3 years ago in 2019, one of the stipulations of the PUD, and I dug it up, it's a 91-page document, but on page 3 it talks about, this is the actual PUD that was approved in 2019 for Oak Brook. Upon the occurrence of the following events, the planned unit development zoning designation for Oakwood Crossing shall revert back to R1 residential zoning district classification upon affirmative action of Cedar Lake Council. And then A, the legal title to the real estate is transferred on the records of the Lake County Auditor from Cedar Lake Residential LLC before the development of the first phase of Oakwood Crossing. So I believe the intent of that 3 years ago was that we were given the PUD zoning classification for this development, and the Plan Commission was trying to assure that we would actually be the developers and that we were not just getting the approval and then going to flip it to another developer. So we put the stipulation in the PUD that the zoning would go away if we ever transferred title out of Cedar Lake Residential LLC. As we come to nearing the point of platting the first phase, our accountant brought to our attention that this needs to be in an S-corp rather than an LLC. So we are going to transfer title from our LLC to our S-corp. The ownership is exactly the same as the Schilling family. It's the same owners. We have to transfer the title over. We just wanted to make sure that we were not basically violating the intent of the original PUD agreement. So we thought it best to bring that to everyone's attention, and we think it's a pretty minor issue, but we just wanted to be upfront with it, so.
All good, we talked about this. Chris and I have discussed it with Attorney Hunt and Jack. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's good.
In fact, to the benefit of the town, we have the right people on the hook.
Anybody have any questions in reference to that?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, sounds like it's all good.
Will we have to vote on that then, next meeting?
Next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
they'll
we'll
acknowledge the changeover.
okay, yeah, because when we present the plat at the next meeting, the ownership on the plat will read as Cedar Lake Residential, Inc.
We'll have a change, we'll have a connectivity.
Excellent.
That'll be August 17th meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Let's go on to number 2. Oak Brook final plat, owner Cedar Lake Residential LLC, P.O. Box 677, St. John. Petitioner Schilling Development, 8900 Wickard Avenue, St. John. Vicinity US 41, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting final plat for Oak Brook Phase 1, 28 lots and 2 outlots.
So again, this will be, a final plat will be coming back in 2 weeks for the final plat for the first section of Oak Brook. We'll have the entrance coming off 129th Avenue, a portion of some cottage home lots, a portion of some duplex lots. It includes the large single-family lot out on 129th, and a couple of outlots, the park in the middle, the creek along the edge, and it's pretty straightforward. That'll be, we'll be coming in for final plat request on that first piece. Don, you and I will work over the next 2 weeks to get the dollar figures worked out for the letter of credit and whatnot. The infrastructure is primarily in. They did the lime on the streets today. So over the next 2 weeks, we'll be putting the roads in out there.
Everything's good?
Good, sir. So we're at 3.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Jack a question? Jack, it's a little bit off the subject, but it's pertaining to this. Have you been in contact with Steve Goff at all?
Is he the gentleman just to the right coming in? Yeah.
So, a lot of dust, I know you guys,
Yeah.
you can't control when your contractors pick up and drop off excavators, but last night at like 9:30, they were dropping off equipment for doing the
lime.
Lime.
Yeah.
And the guys told them, you better move all your cars because this lime is nasty and messy and so on and so forth. So if you could have a discussion with them, just
Sure.
to,
Yeah. He's been great, really, as a neighbor.
yeah, he said he's been trying to be
Yeah.
as cooperative as possible.
He has been. He's taken
First
the
it was
brunt of
dust,
it.
and it was
right
this,
there.
and it was that, now it's the
Yeah.
lime as of last night. So
Yeah.
if you could, have a discussion,
I
that'd
will.
be great.
I will talk to him.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
No, sir. Looks like we're all set to go in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll be back.
So phase 1 will be the first Right behind his house, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want a break?
No. No. You can actually do number 3 and 4 together.
Kind of,
On the roll, let's keep going.
Number 3, Beacon Point, Unit 6, final plat. Owner petitioner, Beacon Point of Cedar Lake LLC, 8900 Wickard Avenue, St. John, vicinity of 13830 Parrish Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting final plat for Beacon Point West, Phase 6.
So Jack Slager again with Schilling Development. We can actually talk about numbers 3 and 4 together. Beacon Point West, we started a year ago and we put in what we called Phase 5, which was the entry road off of Parrish Avenue. Beacon Point Lane was 27 lots. We've now come in and extended that road up. Phase 6 is 18 lots. And then Phase 7, to the north of that, is another 36 lots. So we have a total of 54 lots between Unit 6 and Unit 7, and that will extend the road all the way up. Pretty straightforward, all single-family lots, and yeah, so it's...
Is that the last phase?
There will be one more. Phase
Okay.
8 will be the last piece, which is up against Utopia. And hopefully that'll go next year. If things continue on as they are, we would do Phase 8 at some point next year. And then that is the final phase of all of Beacon Point.
When do you connect that road to,
Yeah, so that's a good question.
Summer, winter.
This last little piece right here is actually part of Altoff's Centennial Villas. I believe they have one little section to plat here yet, which would be that connecting road. Hopefully that happens this year yet too. We would love to see that connection all the way through. I know Summer Winds is probably not super excited to see the connection happen, but I think it's good for everybody to have the connectivity there. The utilities have already been connected. The water main has been connected through here and it's looped. And that's actually a good thing. For those of you that know with what we've got going on at the distribution center, that actually helped with the whole water supply on this side of town, so,
Yeah, I think they're coming this year. That'd be Phase 3 of.
yeah, it's really like this,
That north
like
part.
10 lots or something.
I think other people having to go all the way to 41 to get to Jane Ball, and
They would love for that to be done right
Yeah.
now.
I would love that.
That's why we're
But that might be a godsend that it isn't. Construction guys would be
Yeah.
running into cars.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I would think within the next 6 months to a year, that'll be contiguous there.
Okay, any questions? Everything's good now?
Again, work next week, so we're out.
Yep,
You guys are trying to make it too easy on me.
we'll see you back in
I love
2
it.
weeks.
Wait till next year, right?
We don't want you to quit.
Thank you.
Okay, see you in 2 weeks then. Number 6, Dykstra's first edition final plat for a one-lot subdivision. Owner, R&R Properties, Rick Dykstra, 11003 Lake Central Drive, St. John. Petitioner Rick Dykstra, 11003 Lake Central Drive, St. John, vicinity located approximately 200 feet west of Moore Street on the north side, 136th Place, Woodland Shores Addition, plat of outlots I and J. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for a one-lot subdivision.
Good evening, my name is Ken Peach, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Dykstra.
Okay.
You've seen me many times before. I think we've got just about everything in order.
Yeah, we're good with it. Plat's in order. Just to kind of refresh everybody's memory, that the 2 waivers that we approved for the preliminary were park dedication and tree placement. The 2 we did not waive would be the front sidewalk and stormwater detention. We'll figure that out, building permit when the site plan comes in. So as far as the plat goes, we're good with it.
Okay.
So all this is right now is the plat. The
Right.
plats for next meeting,
Yeah.
that's it.
Just fine.
Okay, any questions, building department? No. Commissioners?
No, sir, not for me.
I do. With the rain garden, who's gonna control the rain garden? Are you gonna be able to control the rain garden or just go by the detention?
It will be private, it'll be on a lot somewhere.
I mean, who's gonna inspect it, you know,
It'll be up to the homeowner.
what's that?
It'll be up to the homeowner to keep it functioning.
Maybe the better question is, what happens if it isn't maintained? I think, is that
Typically,
where you're going?
Yes.
Okay, well, typically you put a detention basin in an easement, but this is a little different because we're not designing a subdivision per se, so we don't have outlots, we don't have stuff, we don't know where it's gonna go on a future lot. So, I mean, we can put a note on the plat potentially, and you can let me know if this is legal. I don't even know how to term it.
No, the notes can go on the plat.
Yeah.
It can be a condition of the final plat approval. Needs to describe accurately and kind of scientifically.
Yeah.
What needs to happen and how it.
Ken, I'll get together with you and your surveyor.
There's no way
Come
to
up with an
enforce
idea.
it, though, penalty-wise, if it's
If
not.
it's on the plat, the town can enforce.
Yeah.
What would be a typical penalty for something like that? It's not maintained.
Conjunctive cease the use of the property, mandate. I mean, there's equitable relief in the court, for sure. Starts at our building department, so our inspection.
Something that's gotta carry with the land between owners, is probably one of the
Oh,
bigger
it's gotta
things.
run with the land.
Yeah. So, I'll get together with Dave and,
So the note would
Come up with
state that
something.
the owner is responsible for maintenance of the rain garden? On the plat?
That's what I heard,
in perpetuity.
That would make sense to me.
That would be on the plat.
and it would be in perpetuities.
Right, and I would think that if there were issues with it in the future, the first thing that would happen would be the neighbors would complain.
Well, we're trying to preempt complaints.
Right, we don't want that, no, but I'm just, you know, as far as regulating and eyeballing it, but.
That's-
These are pretty common things these days, these rain gardens.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we typically try to enforce the stuff with an easement, but it's a little different, we don't know where it's gonna be. So we can't slap an easement, I mean, I guess you could do a blanket easement over the entire property or something. Or,
I've seen that.
or a provision or of some type. We'll come up with something by next meeting.
Okay.
You got my word, Jack, I'll think of something.
Just one more thing I'm kind of thinking about, if let's say the house became foreclosed or distressed in some way and no one's taking care of it, is there a mechanism for the town to maintain it at that point?
Again, we have that mechanism for subdivision where we have our operation and maintenance manuals for, you know, shared use detention basins. For a single use like this, that would be difficult. We essentially state in those O&M manuals that if something becomes in disrepair, that the town has the right to take it over and maintain it and charge HOA or POA or whoever. It's a little different
Are
in
you
this
doing
case.
that for a one-lot subdivision?
No,
I mean,
you're not.
you're talking about big projects.
Yeah, so it's unique, I guess.
And I was also under the impression that we were gonna look at the impact of this at the time a permit is pulled to build, because we don't know what size square footage the house is gonna be yet or anything like that, and the impact may be very small, that it's minimal in regards to requiring a rain garden.
Yeah, I mean, the volume that's gonna be required for one lot is going to be very small.
Minimal amount.
Yeah.
That also doesn't make a lot of sense, because pro forma calculations can occur on what the size of a house can be on the lot at its zoning district classification. So pro forma the maximum size of a house, and you'll know the runoff.
It's not just the house that's disturbing, so it's not just.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
So it could be 90% of the lot, if you're gonna do some mass grading on it, but even then, with such a small lot, we're talking 160 by 100, still not gonna be very big.
Right.
Do we specify what the rain garden consists of, or is there? I know we said in the past we were gonna discuss rain gardens somewhat, but,
I think in this case, we can reference the current stormwater ordinance and basically use the information in that to play off of. Yes, there's not a rain garden section of that ordinance, but there is stormwater detention. So, and it's going to be geared towards that in some form or fashion.
okay.
So the language will likely state, you know, the ordinance number, and we'll go from there. At least that's my thought right now.
So any motions, in 2 weeks on this would have to mention the rain garden and, the note on the plat and all of that.
The conditions will need to be identified so that they're enforceable and usable.
Yeah, if all goes to plan, it'll already be on the plat.
It might not be ready in 2 weeks. I don't know. Sounds like there's some, technical work here.
And who, Don will put that together,
Well,
or
actually, it's the petitioner's responsibility.
petitioners?
I need his guidance though to forward that
He works for us.
requirement.
He reviews for us. Your petition is for a one-lot subdivision here.
I understand
So
that,
you carry the burden.
yes.
He's available to review, not design.
But I don't know what the exact requirement is.
Well, we can tell you that for sure. He's the town's engineer. And he'll point you to the stormwater ordinance and the regs that he's talked about here tonight and the like. It's not his design, however.
We'll be in touch, Ken.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Bob, is that your phone? Church, just like church.
Then turn it off. Just gonna show you how to shut the ringer off.
It's not me, mine says vibrating, I'm not taking. Okay. Updates. Building regulations and fee amendment. Working on it?
We're working on it.
Larson and Anderson People Bank.
That's handled.
That's handled.
Special vote, yep.
Great Oak Storage, Lot 1, maintenance letter of credit expires September 4th.
I spoke to Public Works this morning, they're good with the water main as it sits, so we can let it lapse. Didn't have any issues with it. So,
You can put that in writing, right?
I can,
Well, we should have some trail.
okay, I mean, yeah, I'll recite what they told me.
Town manager, you agree with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. I'll write us something for this meeting.
We can act on that in 2 weeks, huh?
We typically don't act on
And
maintenance.
and you won't need to, you can acknowledge you received the letter and the actions are being taken.
Okay. Would that be an agenda item next meeting, or
It could be that or an update.
updates? Okay,
Just a note on the update.
okay. Birchwood Phase 1, performance letter of credit expires October 5th, 2022.
That will likely rotate into maintenance as well. It's my understanding that they're paving phase 1, I think even 2 and 3 by the end of the week. And they have some, final signage to post, and then they'll be coming in for acceptance and rotate. So
we got
maybe in
some-
the next month and a half, I'm thinking.
Yeah, we got a little time on that one there.
Yeah, I think we should be okay before the expiration.
Okay, Rose Garden Estates, Unit 1, performance letter of credit expires October 14th, 2022.
That one's still ongoing. Got a lot of field inspections to get to with that and phase 2 and even phase 3. So that's got some hours behind it.
They're still working, on their first punch list, aren't they?
But like I said last meeting, we pulled all their letters of credit to full freight still.
They
Phase
have-
2 just got renewed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they have more phases too, correct? They're done?
They're done platting. They're working on the last phase right now, in the last phase.
There's no recourse for us to be able to go back from the stuff that's not done?
Oh, we have,
Correct?
yeah, letter of credits are still posted at full.
We have $6.6 million in the bank that says so.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally,
They're not going anywhere.
at 80%, they flip the performance back to a maintenance.
Right.
But we've just kept it at performance because there's so much out there.
It's been their choice to keep it in the performance. They didn't keep renewing.
So we're gonna be
At full.
pulling this on October 30th?
No, we'll likely,
They'll do an extension most likely.
we'll likely do a reduction, my guess. But, I mean, they'll be well beyond 80% build out for phase one, so they could pave surface if they had everything right. But they need to do some binder repairs before they can get to that point.
They don't have anything right. They
No.
haven't had anything right from the beginning of this.
Yeah, it's been a mild train wreck.
I'm tired of them.
I've had a resident just this week, complain to me about the quality of workmanship on her, facility that she lives in.
They can put them up very quickly.
With a little bit of research, you can figure out what they're doing, so.
Yeah, when people ask me about the sidewalks and infrastructure, I just
they're gonna be.
let them know we have the ability to make it right.
Yeah.
With letters of credit, but I don't think that we can do anything if they didn't screw the drywall into the wall properly, though. I think that's more of a civil matter. Is that correct, Mr. Oster?
Well, I don't think we should do any reductions unless they at least finish the punch list in phase one.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You know what I mean? That's been, how long have they been there, what, 2 years now?
I feel like we've known them for 20 at this point.
It sounds like who's ever in charge of that is a colossal failure.
It's rotating.
Did it
Several
change?
people.
Did it change again?
Yeah, Scotty Borg just became the
Rotation
project
is-
manager
So
for
Todd's
that.
gone and now it's Scott?
No, Todd's still there.
Oh, is Todd still on?
Yeah. Todd, the field guy has been the same for a while. They fired the first guy. Fired another guy. Probably, yeah, fired a couple building guys. They don't talk to each other over there. There's the building side and the infrastructure side, they don't talk, and they called back in for red tags when they didn't actually do anything. There's lots of things.
But they built over 1 million homes.
Good for them.
Nationwide, yeah.
Stood right there and said that.
I don't believe that they've got the best reputation overall encompassing the nation, so to speak, so. We're not alone, I don't believe.
October 14th will be here quick. So, just staying on top of this is really important.
Yep.
They might wanna let them know that no one's inclined to do any reductions currently, not even thinking about it, not discussing it, not talking about it, not leaning that way, not dreaming about it, not anything.
I think then they'll just come back in with another check or another
Oh,
extension.
they got-
We haven't asked for any of these extensions, they just delivered them
They got a whole lot of stuff they threw around.
before it even expires. Just nice. Gonna track them down.
That was the one, at one point, they had like 100 things on their list. It was crazy.
Yep,
Sounds about right.
a couple pages.
Yeah, right at the beginning.
They'll just issue
That
one
was phase
stop.
one, only phase one.
I took a ride through there. It looks like the clubhouse is
Clubhouse is
Getting
going
close.
up right now.
on, so that'll make the neighbors happy. So that's good.
Happier-ish,
Happier.
happy-ish.
The pool will open as the snow starts falling. So,
It'll be heated.
yeah, it'll be heated.
2023?
It's 2023.
So we could have this discussion in 2 weeks again, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
It won't change, I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I agree with what Greg said, you know, let them know that, they're very displeased. Okay, offshore state performance letter of credit expires October 30th, 2022.
Offshore States, Mr. Crane came in, Mr. Carey, sorry, came in last week. You guys approved his 80% waiver for the HMA. I don't think he's done it yet. But, yeah, as long as he gets that done, gets his lights up, his signage up, hopefully by the time October 30th rolls around, he can flip it into maintenance. It's got some time, so.
Good. Good, okay. And number 7, NYDY Development Corp., preliminary plat for one lot subdivision site plan.
So this is still an update item. They will be on the BZA next Wednesday or the Thursday, sorry. good catch, assessing. On the last remaining variance that they would require in order for them to move forward on this board, for their items here. So that's currently where the topic stands.
Yeah, the only hang-up is lot size.
Correct.
It's a big hang.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, they applied before the new ordinances.
after.
Pardon?
It was after the new one.
February 24th is the date under application from all the literature that was sent to us, emailed to us. That was the original application for this project,
For this board,
for this board.
correct.
Now, once the ordinance changed, then it came up with, well, now you gotta meet the new ordinances, and that's where the lot size came into play, that it was too small. It was 23,000 plus instead of 40,000.
Correct, but part of the other hang-up too is their second submission, their second application that they made was to the BZA, and that wasn't until April. It was mid-April. Was it April 14th, I believe? If I'm remembering correctly. So it was a month and a half afterwards. And truly, by our own standards, people should be submitting complete applications ready to go, not trying to get in before the ordinance changes and then submit the request for variances a month and a half after. That's where the disconnect is, because if they submitted for the Plan Commission and they were ready, was it?
April 14th.
April 14th. So that was correct. This is not public comment period right now. So they should have known what variances they would have needed under the old ordinance when they submitted the planning application in February, but they didn't, they submitted in April 14th specifically.
Is it because they knew the ordinance was going to change?
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like they're trying to get. My assumption would be that you're trying to get under the old ordinances, but if that was the case, then you should have submitted the BZA application at the same time, because you would have known what variances you would have needed under the old ordinance at that time.
I understand.
If you had a complete application ready to present and move forward.
I see.
This is a prominent item on the BZA agenda next week. It'll be decided then.
Right, whether or not it gets back here or not.
Well, the variance itself.
Well, if the variance is approved, then it comes back here. If it's not, then it's over, right?
Unless they reduce the size of the building or.
Well, again,
Or lot size, never mind.
it's the
B3
zone,
lot size.
B3, so right now it has to be 40,000.
Yeah, right.
So that's the biggest hang-up.
Yeah.
Everything else has been complied with and got their variances and that, it's just the lot size.
They have received 3 variances so far. So the last and outstanding 4th variance would be for lot size.
Can you remind me of the 3, please?
Oh.
Parking and front yard setback, reduction of rear yard setback, and reduction of west side yard setback.
Thank you.
But there's some parking too, or?
Parking in the front yard.
Front yard. They're over in parking spaces that are required, so they've more than exceeded that number.
Right.
It's just lot size now.
I think timeline has a lot to do with it, that's where I get confused, because it started in February, and then, I don't know how it all followed up after that, and I think if we had a clearer understanding, or at least at the BZA, of the timeline, I think it would help us a lot,
Good.
help the BZA.
Yeah, we can get a small timeline of, events. There's truly just the 2 applications would be what really matters.
We kind of went over that in the last meeting, though.
Yeah. I didn't have the specific dates at that time, but now February 24th is the planning application that was made, and April 14th would have been the BZA application.
I'm not sure what the hang-up is at the BZA, but my guess is, I'm not and following the BZA or going to the meetings, but my guess is lot size isn't a hardship. You knew that when you started this, you knew what it was gonna be or something of that.
Lot size is just,
When you buy a piece of property, you know how big it is when you're purchasing it, it's in, I mean, these are in the terms of a contract when you buy it.
correct. I'm not arguing, that point, I understand that. The mindset of some of the members on the BZA, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they're saying, one of the comments was, why, if you decided that B3 commercial should be 40,000, why would you want to give them a variance for 23,000 plus at this time when you change it to 40,000? And so that's basically their hang-up. Why, if you wanted it to be 20,000 like the old one, why did you change it?
Well, that's my thought process too.
Yeah.
If you change it so you don't do bad planning, why do you turn around and commit bad planning?
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense. From a plan commissioner's standpoint, I mean, I understand their standpoint. There's value to them having that location rather than being in the business park out on 41 or an industrial park or somewhere where they don't get all the exposure, I get it. But the same thing that's a positive to them is a negative to everybody else that lives in town, by my thought process.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm hung up on the lot side too, because I'm of the mindset that because it started prior to the new ordinances, that they should be allowed to build on 23,000 plus size lot, square foot lot. But everybody else is saying no, because the ordinance was changed, And I'm saying, well, it started before.
Well,
So that's my argument.
there was a sketch of what the ordinance was gonna be, I'm sure that information was provided.
Well, that's what that's what we're gonna find out to be.
That's
We'll find that out.
doing your due diligence.
Right. Exactly.
Doesn't it
So we only had 4 members last month, and so there were 2 yea and 2 nays.
So there was no
Oh,
action.
is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's why I carried over.
Yeah, so that's why it was carried over.
Doesn't it disturb anybody, like it does me, to think that we spent 6 years morphing and working the modernization of the code? And the first example, the first time that it's to be applied, we've got a technicality that they didn't know, or weren't given the right information, or some gap occurred in the description of what the town's desire was. 40,000 feet was in that ordinance draft for a long time. We didn't change, that wasn't one of the things we went through and changed repeatedly, so.
I know there was an awful lot of thought and planning and energy and exercise that went into cleaning up that corridor and getting it where it makes sense. And then the ordinance further making it where it makes sense. It befuddles me how it even got this far.
Some of those discussions happened as far back as when Strachan Van Tills was coming in.
I was there, Dave, I remember.
Lincoln Plaza sign.
Hours and
And
it's a sick and ridiculous amount of time went into the thought process of getting that corridor coming into town the way that it should be.
Well, it's kind of like center garage, right? Just a simple thing like not making people park on the corner and blocking line of sight. Now they have lines painted.
That's a big
They've
deal.
done but it becomes a big deal. So when you veer from what we have, this is what gets created later. That was corrected. Yeah, it was corrected, but that was grandfathered in from years ago, but again, it was wrong to ever allow it, and we've been fighting it for 2 years, right?
Well, you have to be sympathetic to what exists.
Correct, it's different than new.
It's different.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, we'll see what happens next week.
Stay tuned. Okay, any other comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Whatever happened with the guard property?
We received an updated
Guard.
as-built.
The old guard?
Oh, the one on 41?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause they owned another piece of property over here at one time too.
Well, the only one I've ever talked about is the one on 41.
Yeah, we received an updated as-built, and we're reviewing it now. So hopefully we'll look at it end of this week and let Rich and Dick Cannon all in know. Hopefully it's
So
done.
the stuff was taken care of?
We're gonna find out. I need to look at the survey really quick.
Did you
There's
submit-
3 outstanding items that need, mostly dealing with the detention bond back.
And he still doesn't have occupancy?
I don't know if he has occupancy or not.
I haven't seen anything there.
He was
Wasn't
given
that the
a,
deal, that had to be taken care of before he got occupancy?
or provide a surety in the amount that would be required to fix the issues. And he was given a number. I don't know if he provided the surety and got occupancy yet. I'm not sure.
And he came in here and told us that if Dick Ken didn't take care of it, he would take care of it.
He actually left a message for me right at the end of the day.
Is
So,
that Rich?
yeah, Rich.
He will take care of it.
Yeah. So I need to get back to him tomorrow and take a look at the survey, and hopefully everything's good and we can move on.
I don't know why Dick wouldn't take care of it, though. I mean, he should take care of it too. Did anybody talk to him?
It was about 50% short, the volume, so it wasn't a small bust. He's been told, we've gone through 3 or 4 as-built reviews with him.
Yeah.
And this last review has been, we haven't seen anything for 2 months, 2.5 months now, probably, at least. So this recent submittal's been the first one in a while. Hope it's done.
Good, hope it is.
Yeah.
Any more board comments or?
No, sir.
That's it for me, thank you.
Okay, public comment.
Now you guys can come up.
Okay. I'm David Lee, I'm with Nivy Development.
Marty Zacher with MTI Service Center.
So in regards to the property we were just discussing, I originally met with Jill Murph back, I think it was like September 30th, to go over what our plan was. And in that time, I'd already reached out to a number of contractors, reached out to some engineers to get bids and everything. With the way everything was, it took a while, but I finally did get an engineer. I did McMahon, and I did also find a contractor, Chester. So I started back in August with the whole thing, met with Jill in September, had settled on McMahon in December. They started working on the site plan in December. And then in February, Tony with Chester told me, hey, they're getting ready to change the ordinance. Reach out to Jill to see what may affect you. And so by that time, my site plan had already been 90% done. We were getting ready to submit within the next week or two. So I reached out to Jill. At that point, she was on vacation. She got back. I didn't hear from her on Monday, so I called her on Tuesday, and that's when I learned about the lot size variance. So I said, well, Jill, we've almost got the site plan done. If we submit this in February, are we good under the old ordinance? At that time, she had told me yes. So we submitted the site plan on February 24th, it was. And at that time, nothing changed from when we submitted the site plan to when I submitted the variance in April. I don't know if my engineer just didn't catch it, but we didn't realize that our buildings was over the setbacks. So at that time, we didn't realize that we needed to even request a variance. So what happened was we had the April workshop meeting, I think that was April 6th, and it was determined at that time that our building was over the setbacks, and now we need to request variances on those. So in that meeting, that was all. I thought we were under the old ordinance, and a week later I went in, came in, submitted all the application for all the variances, for those 3 setback variances, and then we were going to have the June workshop meeting, and in that June meeting, a couple hours before the meeting, we got a call saying, hey, you submitted the variances for the setbacks, but not the lot size. So we said, well, we thought we were under the old the old ordinance, so that's why we just submitted for the setbacks. Anyways, there was some back and forth, and just to try and make it easy, we submitted for the lot size. So in June, in the June BZA meeting, we got the approvals for the setbacks, I was gone I was on vacation on the July meeting, but the July meeting, my brother came and it was a 2 yes, 2 no, so that's how it's getting extended into, August. But, like I said, I've been working on this long before the ordinance changed, or between 6 and 8 months before the ordinance changed. I've been working on this and I've, put a lot into it, and then I found out right before we were ready to submit it that, the lots, our lot size wasn't gonna be the right size, but again, I confirmed with Jill, because that was like one of the big things, I'm like, because we're ready to go, if I submit this, are we gonna be under the old ordinance? And she told me yes. And so that's basically, the story from our point, or our perspective.
Yeah.
So you're aware the Plan Commission can't do a thing for you about this issue, not a thing. It's a BZA matter.
I understand, I know, I'm just trying to explain, so you can see from my point of view, or
Yeah, I just didn't want you to think,
that
woke
I
up in February and ran in and said, here, we're gonna beat you to the
That's what it
clock.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely not it at all.
And I certainly appreciate all the work and time, and everybody has to do their due diligence on any project.
Mhm.
But from my perspective of things, and it's not gonna change much because I spent so much time here before during, like the reconstruction period of this town, in my view. And I know how much time and effort and work and planning and everything went into straightening that area out over there, which is, again, it befuddles me how this was even considered to begin with. It boggles my mind. So, I mean, it's just, am I speaking on a turn, Dave? I mean, you were there for most of that work and the conversations. All the discussion that was had on
To me from the beginning.
what that corridor was supposed to be and what it was gonna be and what the plan for it was supposed to be, and we're doing this. I mean, I could see 20 years ago when Cedar Lake wasn't getting much, doing something like that in the corridor. I could see how it would have happened then, but why is it happening now? No offense to you guys or your type of business, but in this day and age in Cedar Lake, Indiana, that's not the place for that type of business. It's just not.
So, we have a really nice building right on the main corridor in Winfield. I mean, the building we're gonna put up is gonna be one of the nicest buildings on that side of the property, I can assure you that. It's not just a metal post and beam building with metal siding, it's gonna be a brick building, and I'll send an email with photos of our building in Winfield, because it's based on that building. I don't know if you've heard of Bell Tire, but I like how Bell Tire runs things. They've got a really nice facility. It's not your normal mom and pop repair shop. I mean, it's gonna be a nice building.
In my mind, though, because I've studied this so much, and studied the area so much, and worked on this so much, it should be on 41. I mean, if let's say we're in Maryville, where a Bell Tire is, it's on a 4-lane thoroughfare, is it not?
Well, I mean, in Maryville, but there's other
And
Bell
Mavis
Tires.
is over there on a 4-lane, I mean, that's just, in my mind, where it shouldn't be in the town. Yeah, where all that, we just did all that work, demolished a bunch of,
Did you guys ever work with Rick Everly or just Jill?
Just Jill.
I mean, that was Chris in the time frame when Rick left, and then Jill was back at the helm.
On that corridor you're talking about, Greg, and you had auto repair shop.
I did that, and I said this. Something that's existed since 1960.
That auto repair shop didn't exist in 1960.
Which auto repair shop are you discussing?
Tom and Ed's. It was Bob's,
It's always been that type of business.
Center Garage.
Center Garage had a body shop, there was a car dealership, but again, that was there since the 40s, wasn't it?
1925.
25, the 20s. When you have bad planning that you have to work around and update and make fit with the new stuff, you're stuck with that. But after you do a whole bunch of work to clean things up, do a lot of demolition, condemnation, unsafe building work, and then we immediately commit more bad planning, I just wonder what everybody's thinking. I'm not blaming anybody that's here now, but it's
How
just,
can you-
it don't make sense.
Yeah, I don't understand how you can say this is bad planning.
It's just because automotive,
It's not a business you like.
no, I'm a car guy. I don't dislike automotive businesses.
It's not a business
But wait,
you like
the way,
in that spot.
because we have designated
That's correct.
areas
That's
for stuff now.
And it's called zoning.
It's called zoning, planning,
And
and
that's-
zoning, that's what this is, planning and zoning.
Right, and it's, the zone there is B3.
And you have to deal with that.
And it's what we're trying to do with the BZA. That's the purpose of the BZA, is to weigh the,
Well, John, if you're gonna take that argument with it, or that defense with it, and I'm not trying to beat anybody up, but then what's the point in changing the ordinance? Just keep the old ordinance and never change anything, never try to update anything, and keep it like 1960.
well, what's the point of having a closed mind about everything? That doesn't work here.
No one's ever accused me, in all the time that I've been here, of having a closed mind about, there's stuff that I've been over backwards to work with. Because you have to. If you have to, it's one thing. But this is not a have-to deal. It's not there yet. If it was there already and it exists, okay, I get it.
Yes,
But you're making something exist that shouldn't exist there, not by all the plan and the work of it. Am I explaining myself, Dave? Because sometimes I get confused myself.
there are two points of view, and you're expressing yours, for sure.
I mean, if it exists already, that's one thing. But if you're doing something, if you're creating something that shouldn't exist in that spot, when there's other places it could be, that would clean things up. You're doing the right thing, maybe wrong, or
And I understand what you're saying, I agree with you 100% on that, but I'm still going back to the fact that this started February 24th. Under the old ordinance, is what I'm saying, no, that's my argument.
the planning for this started in 2008 to clean things up over there. I mean, that's when it started. By what I know about it, I mean, the widening of the road and
Sure,
cleaning up all the easements over there.
2008, yeah, but the
I mean,
ordinance
you can go
didn't
back
change
to-
until 2022.
Around 99 or 2000, when the plan started being made to modernize the corridor over there.
And that's fine, but I'm saying the ordinance didn't change until 2022. Okay, I got your point, you heard my point. We're not gonna sit there and argue back and forth the rest of the night, you know?
I don't want to put heads about it, I mean, I'm gonna look at it.
No, I'm not putting heads with you, that's why I'm into this. I understand your point, I agree with your point on a lot of that, but I just, in this situation, I find it hard to agree to that. But I've got a week to figure out what my vote's gonna be at the BZA.
Well, I wish you guys luck over there.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a good.
But there's a lot of thought to
I know
it.
that.
Again, I'm not following
It'll be
it.
interesting, but, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, you know, I gotta do a little thinking and do a little more research and see what's going on. That's how they purchased the house.
Ultimately, I just want to reiterate, though, the building that we proposed is, it's a nice looking building. It's not, I mean, it's a good looking building. And if you want to look at the one in Winfield to show you, it's based on that same plan.
I've been through there, I know the building ones.
Okay.
I mean, I'm faulting the location and the purpose. That's why, I have no issues with what you're gonna build, or what you wanna build.
Well, and everything, all the cars, at night, there's no cars that are gonna be left outside, it's all inside, everything's done inside, so you're not gonna see cars or parts or anything outside, it'll be a clean area. I mean,
The planning and zoning part of this is my issue, nothing else.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Anybody? Anything else? Thanks.
That's it, thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
No other comments? Meeting's adjourned.